Have you ever heard the term jump cut? Does that ring a bell? It's a film editing term, and it is a violation of what in film editing is referred to as the 30-degree rule. But like any breaking of rules, it's used to its full extent by filmmakers. So on today's episode of Life's Potluck Buffet, we're going to talk a little bit about jump cuts, the 30-degree rule, and think about continuity and discontinuity and perspective in our lives, and ask the cards if they have any thoughts about all of this. So stick around for today's episode. I'm John Paulus. Thanks for joining me. I want to show you an example of a jump cut in case it helps to have a visual. So I'm going to insert here a very short 2 frames, really, or, well, maybe more than 2 frames, but nonetheless, a very short bit of one of the earliest kind of films, and it's from 1896, and it's by Alexandre Promiot. I noticed I pronounced his name very French style. He grew up in Lyon. His family is originally Italian. He also worked with the Lumiere film, early film makers. He's very important there, and he made educational films, and he traveled the world making films of various places in the world. And later on, he actually worked for Sweden and their press and their film, and did their kind of public film and press stuff. Okay, so the film is called Déchargement d'un navire, unloading of a ship, and it's from Barcelona. So here we go. Let's take a look. Yep, see there it goes. I'll do it again. See how it goes from one frame without the camera moving angle. It goes from one frame that skips a frame, it seems like, right? And so you have this whole discontinuity thing. And that is what is called a jump cut when it's done intentionally. And in early films, you see it done intentionally a lot when they want to do a kind of magic trick where something has to disappear or something appears suddenly. So it was used in a cinematic way very early on. I'm not sure if this jump cut was intentional or simply a matter of editing because something was bad with the frames of the film there, but nonetheless, it just gives you a good example of what the jump cut looks like. One of the earliest jump cuts, and the jump cut got used by filmmakers around the world to do a lot of different things, to call attention to the actual kind of film as film. And I think that the French New Wave, like Godard and other directors in the French New Wave, focused on using jump cuts for this reason. The most famous example that I usually think of is a movie called, well, in English it's called Breathless. It's A Bout de Souffle in French. If you're a French speaker, please tell me how I did. That the use of jump cuts there is consistent, and it's I think it's part of the drawing attention to the kind of fact that this is a film. So jump cut is what is called discontinuity editing, because there's a rule in just filmmaking that you kind of want to do continuity editing. And what does that mean? Well, that means that you don't have a thing that looks like, whoa, jarring, what happened there, right? That skip that happens when you see the jump cut. The goal for filmmaking for its lifetime, over the last, century and a quarter, has generally been to avoid that jump cut, to have smooth, continuous film. And the way that you do that when you need to change angles or, do something other than just have a one camera looking at one place without any changes, well, there are two ways you can do that. One is to move the camera to an angle towards the subject at greater than 30 degrees from what you previously used. So that makes the eye seem like it's okay, that there's not some weird skip in the film. So that's what the 30-degree rule is because if you do an angle under 30 degrees or the same angle as we see in the Promeo film that I just showed you, then you're gonna see like this skip in it, and it's gonna seem jarring. And directors and filmmakers and editors and use that to make a point. There might be and it's often used and in order to do something. It does its own work because there's a point at a lot of in a lot of films where you want there to be something jarring, and so you use that. And that goes beyond just calling attention to the filmic nature of, that's a kind of maybe a French film theory kind of very abstract philosophical approach, but it's used to just to create a jarring moment for the purposes of the film. There's a jump cut on the Wikipedia entry for jump cut. You'll see a jump cut from It's a Wonderful Life with Jimmy Stewart, a scene with Jimmy Stewart and Frank Capra there. It was the filmmaker. And the scene, if you watch it, you'll see that the scene really suggests there's a kind of like hectic energy at this moment, and that jump cut really, I think, shows that. So that I feel like that's a really nice use of a jump cut that's pretty clear. Like it really feels like there's that cut is good. But if you had moved the camera to a greater than 30-degree angle, then that wouldn't happen. It would just be like another scene. You see that all the time. I mean, that's just normal stuff in film and in TV shows, and you've seen it a million billion times. Also, getting a close-up. You don't need to change the angle if you're going from a wider angle shot to a close-up, because our brains don't think anything of that. That's not, it's the same thing as if we moved or had another camera that's at a greater than 30-degree angle to the original shot. Our minds don't process that as weird or jarring. The same thing where we kind of zoom in, then also our minds don't process that as something strange or out of the ordinary. So there's continuity and smoothness, and that's the goal of continuity editing. The goal of discontinuity editing is to create jarring moments for effect. And so let's ask the cards about our lives: continuity, discontinuity, perspective, how to have changes and transitions that are jarring and not jarring. Well, let's see what the cards have to say. Okay, so here we go. Yellow lemons, blue dumplings, some things. Oh, you see, I edited out the magenta noodles so that it would appear to be a jump. Oh, that's pretty good, huh? All right, so here we go. Let me shuffle them. All right, and here's our card for the day. Use righteous anger to find your mission. We just drew this the other day. It's been popping up a lot. It's hard to get righteously angry about something you don't care deeply about. And that kind of anger is often a marker of something that you need to do. So think about a situation where you were righteously indignant about something, when you really felt like you were on a mission. And think about what was the context, what was the location, the words that you said, the words that other people said, with the whole situation, and think about what in this is a good and positive and constructive mission that I was on, rather than a destructive mission. And that's what I say when I talk about righteous anger here. I'm talking about a kind of constructive anger that is something we could tap into to understand something that we need to do in our lives, in the world. So go through the film reel in your mind and edit that, and maybe throw a jump cut in there when you're thinking about this situation where you were righteously angry, and see if that helps for the sake of clarity, or to motivate you to do something about it. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you tomorrow on Life's Potluck Buffet.